Today we will be finding the mean, median, mode, and range of data sets. So let's take a look at the different sets of directions you'll end up seeing on tonight's homework. First one asks us just to find the mean. Well, what is this thing they call the mean? Well, basically all the mean is it's an average. And so in order to find an average, we are going to end up doing something with all these numbers. We are going to add all numbers. So a word for add is to sum. So we'll say sum all numbers. And then what we end up doing is we divide. So this line here means divide. Divide by the number of numbers. So it depends on how many values there are. And so let's go ahead and do that with this one. So we're going to take all these numbers, 22 plus 13 plus 47 plus 11 plus 8 and plus the 16 plus the 15. And you're going to add on the 14. And then you've got the 13 and then the 17. So you add up all of those numbers and then you're dividing by the number of numbers. You're counting them all up. So here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. And so when I'm adding these numbers, I try to add in groups. And so for instance, like if you've got a 3 and a 7, you might add that up because that makes a group that's easy to add. So 3 and 7 makes 10. So it's 10 plus the 4 and the 1. So that makes 60 right here. So I know this part right here makes 60. And so I might try doing that with other numbers, like right here. See, the 3 and the 7 again makes a group of 10. So 1, 1, and 1 make 30, so that makes 30. And then try finding some others. So like, for instance, right here, 16 and 14. Those numbers are going to add again to make a 10 at the end, so that makes 30 again. So let's go ahead and rewrite some of these numbers here. We've got 60, we've got 30, we've got another 30. And let's figure out the rest of them. So we try doing that again. Try finding groups that make 10, so they're easy to add. 8 plus 2 makes 10. And then add that 10 to 20. That makes another group of 30. So we only have a few more. We've got this 11 plus 15. Oh, no 10 there, so we just have to add them. So 1 and 5 make 6. 1 and 1 make 2, so 26. And then from there, again, we're just dividing by 10. But we still need to add up all of these numbers. So this is 30, 60, 90. So I would write that down. So I've got 90 plus 60 and plus the 26. And so it's still divided by 10. And then I go ahead and add the 9 and the 6. That makes 15. And I have a 0. So 150 plus 26, just about done now. And I can go ahead and add those numbers all together, and that makes 176 over 10. And so what they want to know is, they want to know what the average is. And the average is going to end up being, so we'll say the mean equals 17.6. When you divide by 10, just moves the decimal over one space to the left. And so let's see what they're asking here. Monthly Girl Scout cookie sales. Boxes per person. So we end up saying that there's about 17.6 boxes per person. Or if we were to round this to the nearest box, it'd be maybe 18 boxes because it's closest to 18. But we'll just go ahead and leave the answer as 17.6 boxes of cookies that we'll end up buying there. And the next one, it says find the mean, median, mode, and range. Well, we know the mean is this thing they call the average. We went over that. But let's take a look at this median. What is the median? Well, median is the middle. The middle number is what we're looking for. And so the key with the median is that you have to order numbers. So you're going to end up ordering from smallest to biggest. So we'll just say, draw another line out here. You must order numbers. And so that's a key there. And the next one, we have to find the mode. Well, the mode is the most frequent. So they both have that long O sound, mode and most. Most frequent number. And then we have, and there could also be more than one mode. So we could have things that are bimodal or even trimodal. And so we'll end up seeing that possibly in the data sets that we've got. And then the range. Range is the difference from the highest and lowest. So it's the distances between the highest and lowest numbers. So we'll say difference of smallest and biggest number. So that's what we're looking for there. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. We've got the first, we'll find the mean. And so we'll just go ahead and add up all those numbers. We've got 24 plus 12 plus 10 plus, and then we've got the 18 plus 20, and then we've got another 12, a 17, and a 10. So we're going to add up all of those numbers and divide by the number of numbers. So we've got to count them up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So when we go ahead and add up all those numbers, we end up with a total of 123. And so we have 123, and we're dividing by 8. And so when we go ahead and do the work there, we end up with 15.375, or 15 3/8. And so that is our mean. So let's see what it represents. Wildcats basketball season wins. Number of points won by. So we win by typically 15 3/8. So we'd say maybe you win by 15 points. So again, sometimes you get numbers for the mean or median or mode that end up being fractions of numbers, and you can't have 3/8 of a point. You can't win by 3/8 of a point. But what this does is it gives you an idea, okay, that the mean, the average, is all between 15 and 16, but a little closer to 15 than it is to 16. So it just gives you an understanding about how far or how much they end up winning by. And we're going to take a look at the next type of central tendency, and that is the median. And the median represents the middle number. And so whenever we're finding the median, we need to order the numbers. And typically you order from smallest to biggest because we're used to doing that. And so when I do it, I start by writing, just maybe putting a check or some sort of little mark showing that I've actually checked those two or written those numbers down. And so I have 2 10s, 2 12s I see. And I continue to look at the numbers until I find the next biggest number. So I see 17 is next, and here I see 18. And then I see a 20, and then a 24. So now I've got the numbers ordered. Now I go ahead and work my way into the middle. And so I see that here's a 10, here's a 24. So I kind of mark them so I can see that I'm kind of going into the middle. And I got the 20, the 10, the 12, and the 18, the 12, and the 17. Okay, so my middle number is between these two. Whenever you have an even number of numbers, your median is not going to necessarily be one of the numbers in the data set. It's going to be in between two numbers. And here, it's in between these. If it's an odd number of numbers, then your median will be one of the numbers in the data set. Well, here, I've got to take these two numbers and find their average, because the median is in between those. Sometimes you'll be able to think about it, like if it were 12 and 14, then the median would be 13. It would be the number right in the middle. But here, I'm not sure, so I'm going to go ahead and add those two numbers together. So 17 and 12, and then I divide by 2. So that makes 29 divided by 2. And in this case, we end up with a 14.5. So that is the median of our data set. Well, from there, we can take a look at the next central tendency, which is the mode. And so mode represents the most frequent. So looking at these numbers, especially when they're in order like this, it's easy to find. And so go ahead and take a look at a couple of these real quick. We see that here we have 2 10s, and then we also have 2 12s. Everything else is just one time it occurs. Since they occur more than one time, 10 occurs more than one time, 12 occurs more than one time, and they both occur the same a number of times, then those are both modes. A mode is anything that occurs more than one time that occurs the most. So, for instance, if the 12 occurred one more time, if this 17 were a 12, then it would just be 12. Or if the 10 occurred one more time, then it would just be 10. But for right now, since these occurred the same number of times, the answer is 10 and 12. Well, our range. Our range represents the distance or the difference between the highest and lowest number. So having them in order kind of helps you out. See how you have 24 is the highest, 10 is the smallest. So I took these two numbers, this one and this one right here, and I'm subtracting them. That's all I'm doing. 14 is the answer. So there it is. So we have our different central tendencies there, and there are 4 central tendencies that we went over, and those are just the mean, median, mode, and the range. So let's take a look at the next problem. We got a couple word problems. Here's an example of what you might end up seeing. It says Tammy is 14 years old. She has a younger sister and an older brother, and her sister's 12. They want to know the mean of all their ages. Oh, it says the mean of all their ages is 14, so that represents the mean. Well, it says, how old is Tammy's brother? That's the question. And Tammy's brother. So we don't know that. So let's call this one, how about B for brother? We don't know what that is. So we're going to write a little equation for this. We're going to say that the mean, or actually the brother's age, we don't know. So let's go ahead and put B. And then when we're finding the average, what we do is we add up all the numbers. So we got the brother's age plus Tammy's age is 14 years, so plus 14. Plus the sister's age. Sister is 12, so plus 12. And there are 3 altogether. So total number, so we'll say total number of numbers is 3. So that's why I'm using this 3 right here, because there are 3 siblings, Tammy, sister, and brother. And so I go ahead and do that work. So when we go ahead and do this, we know that this average is 14. That's what they give us. And so what we need to do is we need to think of what plus 14 plus 12 divided by 3 is 14. Well, there is a way we could end up solving that. So let's take a look at this equation again. Let me rewrite it here. B plus 14 plus 12. And then I'm dividing by 3, and this all equals 14. Well, what I could do is I could use some opposite operations. I could solve this like an equation. See, if I multiplied by 3, these 3's would cancel out. Let's do the same thing on this side. Let's see what happens. So when I go ahead and do that, we go ahead and we're left with on the left-hand side that B plus 14. Now I can go ahead and add these 2 numbers together, 14 and 12. Well, that makes 26. So the sister's age and Tammy's age makes 26 years. And this all equals 3 times 14 makes 42. Well, all I have to do now is just one more opposite operation. See, all I have to do is subtract this 26 from both sides. And when I do that, I'm left with the brother's age. So let's see what the brother is. So we got to borrow a little bit, and we end up with 16 years. So there it is. Brother is 16 years. Well, what will their mean age be 10 years from now? Well, let's figure it out. Let's go ahead and add 10 years to each of their ages. So that would be 16 and 10 would make 26. And then we'd have 14 plus 10 would make 24. And then 12 and 10 would make 22. So all I did is add 10 years to each of their age and then divide by 3 still. So go ahead and add these numbers together. This makes, remember, groups of 10. Let's see here. This makes 50. So I have 50 plus 22. Well, that makes 72. Divided by 3. Well, let's see here. 3 goes into 7. We have 2 times with 1 left over. 3 goes into 12. Goes 4 times, so 24. So 24 years. And so that would be just 10 more than the average before. So I bet after 20 years, I bet you it'd be 34 years, because you're just adding 10 years each time. Well, let's take a look at the next problem here. Here we've got the mode of Nevin's 4 math scores. Last month is 85. Okay, that's his mode. That's the most frequent, is 85. On 3 quizzes, he earned the following scores. Okay, so he had 90, he had 86, he had 85. What is the score of the other score? Okay, on 3 of the quizzes. Well, he has 4 quizzes, so we're missing 1. But we know the mode is 85. That must mean his other score is 85 in order for our mode to be 85. So that's the missing score right here. It was just 85. Just knowing that there's 4 quizzes. We know 3 of them, 1, 2, 3. And we know the mode was 85. That must mean the missing score was 85 as well. Well, those are problems you're going to see on tonight's homework. Good luck.